You're listening to Tales from the Field, a podcast about the field-going adventures of Fish and Wildlife Service employees in the Pacific Northwest and Islands, told by the people who live them. I'm Sarah Levy from External Affairs in Portland, Oregon. This is our first ever podcast, and we were lucky enough to interview Theresa Thom, our Regional Aquatic Invasive Species Coordinator. Theresa shared a story about a horse without legs, or hooves, or a mane. It's actually a red horse, and by that I mean a fish. This interview was told to our Public Affairs Officer and Fisheries Wrangler. That's angler. Anyway, her name is Amanda Smith. Here we go.
Hi, my name is Theresa Thom, and I'm an employee here in the regional office with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service as our Regional Aquatic Invasive Species Coordinator. And I have all kinds of tales from the field, but one that I think is kind of fun that I'd like to share is a sampling adventure that I got to participate on in the Savannah River on the border of South Carolina and Georgia. And so this was a few years ago. We were doing standardized monitoring for fishes in the Savannah River, moving from the lower reaches near from the lower reaches of the Savannah and then moving upstream. And in one of our samples, we collected a fish that it was a sucker fish, but we weren't really sure what species it was. And so we took all kinds of pictures of it. And what was very unique was the lips of this fish.
Okay, sorry to interrupt, but I've got to describe this fish. Imagine a fish with a large, thick body and rose-colored fins. Adults can grow to be 2.5 feet long and weigh nearly 20 pounds. But the coolest part about this fish might be its lower lip. It's pale and kind of wide, and almost looks like a tongue.
And in taking a bunch of photos, we did all kinds of measurements. We did release it. We were just doing electrofishing, so it was part of our sampling protocol. We weighed and measured all the fish that we collected. But we did have a lot of photos. We took GPS coordinates from all of our different sites, so we knew when we had collected it, measured it and then released it, where we had collected it from. And we were able to follow up, and we realized we had found a juvenile robust redhorse. And this is really a fun species to think about. It was a surprise to find it this far downstream in the Savannah River. And the robust redhorse is a sucker. And it's a really long-lived fish. It's one of the largest robust redhorse suckers. And they have these molars, these grinding molars. So it's kind of fun to think about a fish with teeth. But it's also got a fun story that it was identified, I think in the 1800s, and then sort of lost to science for a long time, thinking that maybe it was extinct or misidentified, and then rediscovered in the Oconee River in Georgia. And that led to a lot of work to recover this fish, a very active interagency partnership, the Robust Redhorse Conservation Committee. Anyway, all kinds of really dedicated people working on this species. And it was just kind of fun to be doing, daily work of monitoring in a river system, just looking at one aspect of water quality, looking at the fish species, and then kind of finding a whole an interesting part of the life history of this sucker in the Savannah River. So that was pretty cool. And we were able to connect with our Ecological Services office in Athens, Georgia, and also work with the South Carolina Aquarium and other partners to go back, especially the state. Both Georgia and South Carolina DNR helped with surveying additional reaches in the river and seeing if additional species could be, or robust redhorse, more suckers could be found throughout the river. And I know that work has continued on. So it's just kind of neat to be part of that.
That was Theresa Thom, our Regional Aquatic Invasive Species Coordinator. I think she's a fantastic storyteller. Thank you, Theresa. This story was told to Amanda Smith, our Fisheries angler. All music and sound effects were downloaded from the YouTube audio library and posted for copyright-free uses by their artists. The music included After You and Lost and Found, both by Dan Leibowitz, Dude, Where's My Horse? By Nat Keefe and the Bowties, and Horses and Trains by Jesse Gallagher. We hope you join us for our next Tales from the Field. This is Sarah Levy. Over and out.